Hi, today I'm going to do the Taylor Swift book tag. Obviously, I wasn't tagged since I am a new booktuber, so I'm just going to do this because, it looks like tons of fun and I really want to do this tag. This tag was created by The Book Life, which I will link her video down below. And Kat from Katie-tastic did this book tag and actually added 2 more songs, so I'm going to do all 12 songs that she did, and I'm going to link her video down below too. So basically, in this tag, we have 12 different songs of Taylor Swift, and each song has a question connecting to the song, and you have to find a book that answers that question for you. So let's get started. Okay, first up is We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, which is a book that a book series that you thought that you loved, and you ended up wanting to break up from it. And that book for me is Allegiant by Veronica Roth. And yeah, no explanation needed if you read this book. You already understand. Next up is Red, which is a book with a red cover on it. And I picked Blood and Beauty by Sarah Dunant, if that's how you say her name. And yeah, you don't get any redder than this cover. For those of you who do not know, this book is about the Borges family. The best day, pick a book that makes you feel nostalgic. And for me, that book, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. This is the book that made me fall in love with reading. I remember reading this when I was like 7 or 8 years old, so obviously it's nostalgic. Next up is Love Story, which is pick a book with forbidden love. And that for me is any book in the Night series by L.J. Smith. This is the first volume, which is the bind-up of The Secret Vampire, Daughters of Darkness, and Spellbinder. And this entire series by L.J. Smith is short stories of forbidden love in like the Night world, which is the supernatural community of all the vampires and the witches and everything, and how they're not supposed to fall in love with humans. And then it's basically, there's 3 bind-ups of 9 short stories of different forbidden love stories. Next up is I Knew You Were Trouble, which is a book character that's the band that you can't help but fall in love with. And this is kind of already an obvious answer for me, which is Julian from The Forbidden Game. The guy's a demon, he's trying to kill her and her friends, and yet I love him. I love him more than Will, I love him more than Augustus Waters. I really love him. Next up is Innocent, which is actually the song that Taylor Swift wrote about how Kanye West talked about her. But yeah, Innocent, which is pick a book that someone ruined the ending for you. And besides The Falling of Stars, where my friends ruined the ending for me, the only other book that the ending was ruined for me was actually a book that I ruined myself, like for myself. And that's Sage by Sarah Mosin. I have this really bad habit of opening the last page sometimes at books and then reading the last page. And at the last page there's kind of like a summary of the event that happened in this book, which ruined the entire ending for me. It didn't ruin the experience of reading the book because the book is fantastic, but still it kind of ruined the suspense because I already knew what's going to happen to most of the characters. Everything has changed. Pick a character from a book that went through extensive character development. And for me, it's just any one of the 4 main characters in Fallen Kingdom and Rebel Spring. Everyone changes immensely in this book. It's only 2 books out in the series, but like, the people that would think go bad at the beginning turn out to be good at it. Everything changes completely. You Belong With Me, which is your most anticipated book release, which is Blood of Olympus. I need Blood of Olympus in my hands. I need to read it. I need to love it. I need to devour it. Like, come out. I can't wait till October. No, come out now. Like, I want to know what happens. I really do hope. Like, you guys realize this is probably going to be the last book with Percy in it, and I'm just going to cry. We need more Percy books. Like, this cannot be the end. Forever and Always, pick your favorite book couple. For me, when everyone says always, I think of Snape, and then I remember that Snape and Lily were never actually a couple. So my favorite, I just showed the book. So my favorite book couple is Kathy and Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights. And yeah, I just love their love story, even though it's toxic for both. Love story between them, and I love the love story. I'm in love with their love. Even though the love was horrible, they acted terrible to one another, and but still, they mostly suffered, but it's so, like, adorable and heartwarming. I'm an awful person if I find their love heartwarming, but still, it's like, I love them. Come Back, Be Here is the book that you fear lending out because you're afraid you'll miss it too much. And for me, it's the bind-up of His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, which contains The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Emperor's Spyglass. I got it as a gift for my parents when I was 9 or 8. And then we went to my grandparents, and they don't live in the same country as us, and I forgot the book there for like 3 years. Like, I started reading it, and it was really difficult for me to read, and then I forgot it there. And then when I returned, I read this book in like 3 days. I finished it, and it hard broke me. I was like, no, it can't be over. So that exact minute, I started and I read I think I read the book, like the entire series, 3 times in a row, because I could not say goodbye to the characters. I could not say goodbye to this amazing world. And you can see that my book is loved, like the edges and the spine and everything. And I love this. I can't find anything wrong. Like, this book is perfection, and I love this. And I love that, like, the philosophy that stands behind here. Like, this is basically a battle about free will, and should people even have free will? And yeah, everything is perfect. But the movie butchered the book. Like, when I saw the movie, I'm like, what? Like, it ended in the middle of the first book. They changed so much. It really, really pissed me off. Yeah, and I thought, like, I can never give this to you. I'll rather buy you the book, which is what I did with one of my friends. She was like, I kept telling her about it. She's like, okay, so I want to read it. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll buy you the book for your birthday. There's no chance in hell that you're getting my book. Like, I'm too afraid about it. I got too sentimental. Oh, look, I'm petting the book. I love this book. Like, my parents did right when they bought me this book. Like, even though at the beginning I forgot it for 4 years, which is terrible, terrible. But I think I just wasn't ready to really read and understand fully the story and understanding behind it. And then when I did read it 4 years later, I fell in love. I just love this book. Love this book. Next up, we have Teardrops on My Guitar, which is a book that you cried a lot during reading it. And for me, this is one of also my favorite standalones, is Shadows on the Moon by Zoe Marriott. This book, like, I started and I cried continuously throughout the entire book. I couldn't read it in public. I kept on crying and crying, and I kept on feeling the main character's pain. And I love this book, and I cried so much. This is like one of those books that, you know, you cry so much, but you love it. You love, like, everything that goes through it, and feel so bad for the character. And I cried in this more than The Fault in Our Stars, people. So this is definitely something that you should read for the feels. Shake It Off. Shake It Off, which is a book that you love so much that you just shake off the haters. And for me, it's actually a trilogy of books, which are The Chemical Garden trilogy, which is Wither, Don't Fall, Fever, I can't even say Sever, that's the last one, and Sever by Lauren DeStefano. I know that lots of people don't like this dystopian trilogy. They do not like how, like, in the first book, I know lots of people give up on the series because they say that the main character is like, the narrative is really young, it's not that interesting, but I really like it. I also find very realistic. First of all, a 16-year-old girl will mostly be a young narrative. She won't start out kick-ass, usually, in a dystopian world. So, and if you keep on reading the book series, then you see that throughout the books that herself as a character develops and matures, and so the narrative itself matures. Yeah, so my battery just died on me, which sucks, so I'm just going to continue where I stopped off with The Chemical Garden trilogy. I know that lots of people don't, like, they find this book not to be very action-packed, but I find it to be very realistic, because if we will get to a point of, like, this dystopian world, where the world, like, you know, is endangered, and everyone's, like, in this, where, like, post-apocalyptic, like, phase, then the things that happen in this book make sense. the fact that one man will take lots of wives to try to reproduce the humanity, that makes sense. The fact that that most people won't be out and rebelling because people will be trying to take care of themselves, that makes sense. The fact that tons of scientists will try to engineer us genetically, that makes sense. If we really get to that point in humanity, then we won't have, in my opinion, we won't have some huge, huge event or something that's happening a certain way. In my opinion, it will be small things that will eventually lead to the downfall, which is what happens here. I think that anyone who hasn't read this book series and wants to read a different type of dystopian should give this a go. Even though there are tons of haters for this book series, I still think that everyone should give it a go and see if they like it. So that's the end of my Taylor Swift book tag video. Thank you for watching my video. I'll have another video up for you guys soon. If any of you guys who are watching this video want to do this tag, then yeah, I'm tagging you guys. I'm tagging everyone. Everyone who sees this and wants to do this, go and do it and have fun. And yes, thank you and bye.